We're going to continue now with the inductor installation. I've got PCB board number 1 back in my holster, and we're going to install the inductors. Now, these little guys are inductors. You notice they're kind of whitish color on the background with some stripes on them. The stripes actually denote what strength they are. So you want to make sure you pay attention to the stripes. The book says that slot L1 should be brown, red, brown, silver. So there's a pattern here that's brown, red, brown, silver. So that's how I know that I've got the right strength there. So the book also notes that inductors are very fragile. So when it comes to bending these, like I was doing the resistors with my fingers, I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend using some of these round pliers. So all I do is take my round pliers, get in there, and bend very gently. You don't want to fracture the inductor. You want to keep it nice and whole. It is not polarity sensitive, so it can go in either way. So now that we've got it bent, we're going to install it into slot L1 and very gently, only touching really the wires, not the inductor itself. Get it down in there. When it comes through, we can bend it over and pull from the back side. And when it gets down nice and flush, again, we're going to fold them and bend them up and away to lock it in place. I'm pretty sure there was no fracturing that occurred there. Slot L2 is a blue, gray, black, silver. Here is blue, gray, black, silver. For you to be able to see. And we'll take with my round pliers again and find the point I want it to bend at. Point I want it to bend at. Again, trying not to touch the inductor itself more than possible. It is going into slot L2, which is here. Again, we're going to slide it down in, flip it, pull, pull, get nice and reasonably tight, bend, bend, hold in place. And from there, it's time to do our fun job of soldering again. So we're going to bend this down a little bit so you can see better. Board. Again, we need to solder or tin the tip of this iron just a little bit, like we've been doing each time. It gets some solder on it, makes it to where you don't There we go, nice and tinned. So, and try not to touch any of your existing solder joints. A nice little Hershey kiss, run it up. Nice little Hershey kiss, run it up. You can move that a little bit to get to your other two. Okay, and there we have installed the inductors. Now, in the book, it states that you want to verify at this point that the ground connection is working on the inductor. So, to do that, it recommends using a multimeter to check continuity. To do that, now, this is a multimeter, if you've never used one. I'm going to turn it on to continuity. All continuity does is that when a connection is made, a little beep like that can be heard. So the beep is what we're listening for. We're going to touch one probe of the leg of L2 and and then the negative C pad over here. So here's that. And we have a solid connection being made from both legs of that. So we know we have made a good and useful solder joint. It was just that easy to test. So now we are clear to continue, and that should inspire confidence in you, in your ability to be a solderer at that point. If you have completed that step and you have continuity, you're getting good solder joints. So all I'm going to do now is flip it over, and as I have on the others, just going to clip off the extra wire. Get those solder joints nice and pretty. Now, I took a break a minute ago to clean up my station. I would say that's an important thing to do if you're doing this with a group of high schoolers. Having a clean workstation will make you feel better about what's happening, and will make sure that there are no unhappy accidents that are happening along the way. So now we have the rest of them soldered up. This one over here is just a little long, and I see it in this frame, so clip that one a little bit closer. That is better now. Good deal. Now, the next step are diodes. We're doing diodes for both boards. We want to identify where those diodes are going in, and you can tell a diode on the board by this little shape right here. Let me point it out. How there's a darkened white line on one end. These are directional. So it does matter which direction that we actually install them into the board. So we're going to have to take careful note as we go along that we not only get the right strength diode, but that it also goes in the right direction. So that works out good. We've got a good hold in there. Again, diodes are the ones that are the tiniest for sure, the hardest to read. If you look at that against my finger, you can see just how ridiculously tiny that little guy is. So I have to use a magnifying glass here to be able to see these. We have slots D4 and D5, which are going to get 48s, and D6 and 7 are on the other board. No, they're just in a different spot. Oh, they're down here. So we've got 2 that are going up here, 4 and 5, 6 and 7 are going down here. They're the 41, 48s, which I believe is the 4-pack I have here in my hand. 41, 48, written on all of those. So I have correctly found what I'm looking for. Now the goal is to make sure that I install them in the right direction. So how do I know if I'm installing it in the right direction? Well, the black line needs to match the white stripe on the board. So you want that black line to line up with the white stripe side on the board. So I go ahead and bend it in to shape. Put it in a little bit. Oops, that's wrong. The black stripe is going the opposite direction. that will kill your circuit. It will not work. So I've got to put it in the correct way and make sure that I do that before I pull it down nice and tight. And then, like we've been doing on the others, bend the leads up out of the way. So now I have accurately installed so that the black stripe matches the white line. Again, I'm going to insert just a little ways and double check. Yep. Fortunately, those two go the same direction. But as we're going to see in just a second, that's not always the case. I bent that a little too long, so it's not wanting to go through. There we go. A little putzing with it and it'll go through. Now down on this side, you'll see that the two right here, they have the white stripes on opposite ends, so you got to make sure you get them right. Pay attention. 6 and 7. So here goes number 6. Black stripe needs to be going to the left on 6. And on 7, the black stripe needs to be going to the right. That way they are accurately installed. And it looks like we have gotten them accurately installed. There's one more diode that needs to go in on this board, and it's the 5241B. So it's this one, I believe. I got to get out my magnifying glass. Still hard to read, my goodness. $241. That's how it should be marked according to this book. And it's going into slot D3, which is right up here. Again, I'm looking for that label about which one goes down. Black stripe needs to be this way because that's where the white stripe is. So correctly located where it goes. And it's in the right direction. Choke it in. Now we soldered all those in. See, it's not nearly as scary as you thought. There's nothing at this point that I don't think any of you could very successfully do. So I'm going to slide this down while we solder over here on this edge so it can be out from the edge of the PCB holder. We've got 4 joints to make right here. We're going to get just a little bit of solder on it. Here we go. Nice one. And as you go along, your fluency should improve. So if you find yourself getting faster as you do this, that is a good thing. Again, I'm methodically working up the board. Make sure I don't miss any joints. And right there is something that happens every now and then. I actually got my solder stuck to the lead. It's a very easy fix. It melts. Just give it a second to melt it again, and boom, you're set and ready to go. And so I can get to the other two. I need to peel these back. This is where it starts getting a little tight, but not too bad. Okay, there we go. There are several of those solder joints. What, those 5 of them? 5 little guys soldered in right there. And then you're just going to come along and trim again. The trimming is important. You can trim too short, but it's really hard with these side clippers. So just, you want to pretty much get off all the long metal leg that you possibly can. These are really flying too. Why I recommend the safety glasses for this step. Remember, you can probably borrow some safety glasses from just about any science room in your building. Now I will say, these 4 right here are about as ideal as you can get, or that I've gotten, I should say. So that's kind of what you're looking for right there. Some of the others are a little chunky, but nonetheless they are working accurately, I believe. And finally, we have 2 more diodes to put in the other board. These are going to be a little hard. I'm going to have to hand hold these because of where they're located on the actual board. Can't grip them very well. So last, we need some 5234s. And they might be marked 2, 3, 4. And they are. These again are going opposite directions. So as you build here, you can go opposite directions. These are a little tighter too, apparently. So having to adjust my bend so I can get it down flush with the board. And here is where the duck bill pliers come into play, because I need a little more gripping power. Just gonna grab and pull, grab and pull. Now they're locked in there. Again, make sure you confirm that the black line is moving the same direction as the white stripe on the board. It's really important to make sure that those things are lined up. First time we ever built a guitar pedal, let's see if I can clamp these in this way. We did not check that very well because we did not understand the importance of it. And when we got done, we had to go back and redo it because that one little thing was wrong. And when that one little thing was wrong, it all didn't work. So when we went back and flipped that, lo and behold, it started to work. Now we're just going to solder those again. These are tight. You have to make real careful on close connections like this. Don't touch. And this solder is not going to get down on the hole. You can see how really tight that little clump is up there. So you want to make sure that none of the stuff up here, any of the solder, is touching. And it is not. So we are okay to now go in and clip. There we go. That is the job. All 7 diodes have been installed. If you notice, our parts supply is really decreasing now. So that's a good thing. Some of these that are left are going to be a little harder to do the soldering on, because the more packed the board gets, the more you have to be careful with where your solder joint goes. But I think we'll make it. I think we'll make it. Now let's read up on what the next step to do is.